Hello my fellow gamer, it's Griffin here and welcome back to another POE 2 video. Today I'm happy to share with you my Deadeye Storm Lance build that destroys bosses in seconds due to its insane single target damage, clears T16 maps with ease, and the build can be assembled on the budget. Let's talk about it. Let's dive in. First of all, I would like to thank all of you who watched my previous video, the Amazon Lightning Spear build with full conversion from lightning to cold. As amazing and powerful that build is, and it is truly outstanding and glorious to play, I wanted to create a new powerful build just in case the first one would get nerfed. So today we'll have a look at the boss destroyer Deadeye Storm Lance build with full conversion from lightning to cold, just like in the previous build. Yes, I leveled up a brand new character to level 91, a ranger this time, Deadeye Ascendency, that has incredibly powerful Ascendency nodes and synergizes very well with the spear skills, especially when it comes to generating frenzy charges consistently. I'm already working on a video Amazon versus Deadeye comparison, both at level 91, to see which class/ascendancy would represent the best choice for the lightning spear build, but that video will be published in the near future, so stay tuned for that as well. In the meantime, let's focus on Deadeye Storm Lance build. We are using Tangle Tongue Spear, an absolutely amazing weapon with insane base crit hit chance. For this build, we've invested significantly into crit chance and crit damage bonus, and now every hit has a 100% chance to crit and our character has more than 450% critical damage bonus. This is very important because the description of the Tangle Tongue Spear states, forks critical hits. If we check the description of forking critical hits, we'll understand how amazing this is. Hits with this weapon roll against their critical hit chance twice when determining if they are a critical hit. In other words, each hit before it's applied is rolled twice to determine if it will be a critical hit or not. If one of these two rolls would succeed to be a crit, then the crit damage bonus is applied as per normal. However, if both rolls would succeed in being critical hits, then for that hit, the crit damage bonus is applied twice. Well, with Storm Lance, in this build every hit is a critical hit, therefore more than 900% critical damage bonus is applied with every hit, and that represents a colossal amount of damage. We pair that with Avidity Major Ascendancy node for very fast frenzy charge generation and Thrilling Chase that states, skills consuming frenzy charges behave as if consuming twice as many frenzy charges. In other words, we get double damage, and this will elevate the build to a whole new level. We are using Hand of Wisdom and Action Gloves that give flat lightning damage per 20 intelligence and 1% attack speed per 20 dex. We're also using Call of the Brotherhood Ring to convert all lightning damage into cold damage for a massive cold damage boost and for very fast freeze build-up with every hit. Herald of Ash ignites enemies based on the overkill damage, and Herald of Ice creates icy explosions if we shatter an enemy with a non-herald attack hit. We start creating these fiery and icy chain reactions while moving that leads to very efficient mapping experience, especially useful in endgame. Is not as spectacular as the Lightning Spear build that clears an entire screen with one button, but it is definitely effective, especially against rares and uniques that get destroyed in seconds. Another advantage of this build is that we attack from medium to long range, and we're using Storm Lance for both mapping and bossing. Storm Lance skill is outstanding. Throws an electrified spear that lodges in the ground that periodically zaps enemies with lightning bolts. Fires a bolt every 0.8 seconds, bolts chain to 6 enemies, and we can have max 4 spears lodged in the ground. Every new throw removes the older spears and adds new ones. The skill really shines when we have frenzy charges, as it consumes a frenzy charge and will fire a bolt every 0.2 seconds instead of 0.8 seconds, and the spear will automatically detonate at the end of its duration for 405% attack damage and fires 16 bolts for a level 20 gem. Well, we have 4 maximum active lodge spears that will shred bosses in seconds. This is the reason we've chosen Deadeye Ascendancy for very fast and consistent frenzy charge generation. Against more resilient bosses we are using Wind Serpent's Fury, but for the most part Storm Lance crushes everything in its path. In the offhand we are using an Omen Scepter that provides Malice skill, and in this case at least 170 spirit to be able to support all the spirit gems that we'll go over in detail in the gems section. This is the gear so far. Intentionally, we're using a lot of gear pieces from the Lightning Spear build to be able to transition with ease from one build to another. In fact, the only two pieces of gear that we're changing are the black insignia and an unset ring that, besides good cold damage and resistances, will allow us to use an additional skill. The black insignia helmet, on the other hand, will allow our character to gain tailwind on critical hit, and in doing so will be able to choose far shot and endless munitions instead of gathering winds and wind ward. Gems: Storm Lance with cold infusion, ice bite, primal armament, inevitable critical, and vault. I've tested this skill with a different 5th support gem like Frost Nexus, cold penetration, deep freeze, or magnified effect, but for a consistent map clear, especially in T16 maps, Vault represents a very good choice. Wind Serpent's Fury is a boss destroyer if we have 7 frenzy charges for maximum damage. The support gems are Overextend, Perpetual Charge, Concentrated Effect, and Martial Tempo. Frost Bomb creates cold exposure, and when used in combination with Hypothermia can reduce monsters' cold resistance way below 0. It is very effective at freezing enemies as well. Frost Bomb with Glaciation, Strip Away, Spell Echo, and Ingenuity. Hypothermia with Heightened Curse, Focused Curse, Cursed Ground, and Persistence. For defense, we are using Ghost Dance with Fast Forward, Wind Dancer with Maim and Blind, Herald of Ash with Deadly Herald and Magnified Effect, Herald of Ice with Ambush, Elemental Focus, Biting Frost, and Immolate. Cast on Crit with Sniper's Mark, Overabundance, Impetus, and Energy Retention. Combat Frenzy with Profusion and Precision. Make sure you add 20% quality, especially for the Storm Lance gem, for +1 to the Lodge Spear for a total of 4 Lodge Spears into the ground. Frost Bomb for 20% increased cold exposure effect, Herald of Ice for increased explosion radius, Cast on Crit for 10% reduced reservation, and Combat Frenzy for 20% chance when you gain a charge to gain an additional charge. We want to make sure our character is elemental resistance capped, preferably at least 50 chaos resistance, and has very good evasion. In this case, estimate evasion chance is 83%. Passive skill tree. For a level 91 character, the passive skill tree looks like this. With this setup, we managed to incorporate 3 jewels that provides additional cold damage, crit damage bonus, and life recovery on kill that proves very useful while mapping. In the endgame, we focus on crit nodes, Dispatch Foes, Preemptive Strike, Moment of Truth, Deadly Force, for the Jugular, True Strike, Throat Seeker, Struck Through, Heart Stopping, Heart Breaking, Javelin, and we've instilled First Approach for 50% increased crit hit chance against enemies on full life, and 80% increased damage with hits against enemies that are on full life. We've increased the maximum number of frenzy charges to 7 by using Savagery, Frenetic, and Fervor. To maximize evasion, we're using Cat-like Agility, Bestial Skin, and Enhanced Reflexes. Regarding leveling up process, we take Primal Instinct, Combat Alchemy, Blur, and Cat-like Agility. Then we follow this line and we're aiming for the Spear nodes. We'll ignore the crit nodes for now and we'll focus on damage nodes like Essence of the Mountain, Blinding Strike, and Coming Calamity node that gives 50% increased cold damage if we have Herald of Ice equipped, and 50% increased fire damage if we have Herald of Ash equipped. After that, we'll take the evasion nodes and then the frenzy charges nodes. Once we reached Act 3 Cruel difficulty, we'll start investing into crit nodes mentioned earlier. Ascendency. We've chosen the Ranger class and selected the Deadeye Ascendency for a very reliable and consistent frenzy charge generation through the Avidity Major Ascendancy node and Frenetic node on the passive skill tree. Also, we have access to the amazing Major Ascendancy node, Thrilling Chase, that basically doubles our character's damage for skills that consumes frenzy charges like Storm Lance or Wind Serpent's Fury. For a good damage boost while fighting from a distance, we have Far Shot, and we're using endless munitions for that extra projectile. Just want to clarify that with extra projectile we gain from the endless munition node will allow our character to throw 2 spears instead of 1, but only maximum 4 spears lodged into the ground as per the Storm Lance description with 20% quality. I've also tested Cold Shots and Eagle Eyes nodes, and they are definitely viable options as well, but I prefer the damage bonus provided by Far Shot and the extra projectile provided by Endless Munitions. Feel free to experiment and find the one that best suits your playstyle. And this concludes our look at the Deadeye Storm Lance build with full conversion from lightning to cold. This build is very strong, especially against bosses, due to its ability to generate frenzy charges fast, to crit with every hit and to apply a massive crit damage bonus in doing so, and to freeze quickly due to a massive cold damage boost provided by the lightning to cold conversion. As mentioned earlier, doesn't have the massive screen wide clear as Lightning Spear, but can destroy a group of monsters with one throw while moving and has tremendous single target damage. The build can be put together on a budget if we're not aiming for items with max damage or max crit rolls. Overall, it is outstanding and represents a very strong alternative just in case Lightning Spear gets nerfed. I had a blast playing this build, especially in the endgame against very tough bosses, and I highly recommend it. The next video will be Amazon vs Deadeye Direct comparison, both at level 91, to see which one is more suitable for the Lightning Spear build, with detailed analysis of strength and weaknesses of these ascendancies, so stay tuned for that. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you have any questions, feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed it, feel free to give it a like and don't forget to subscribe to get notifications about new content uploaded on this channel. Thank you so much for watching. All the best. Bye.